You are now streaming live. Well, in a couple seconds. It always takes like 30 seconds to actually buffer in and get people going. So, we'll do another Sunday night LS1 Tech questions video. 4 people already. Holy shit. You guys connect fast. You're first. You're totally first. Derek, do you have like notifications turned on or something? You're always like one of the first guys in here. Got dents. Yes. This is my buddy Ryan Ackerman that owns the Whack Shack Notch. Has his own paintless dent repair business. So this is his shirt. And it says dents, dings, and interior things on the back. That's his business. So we'll jump right in. I feel like everybody can hear it and it's working. Everything else, since they're all pouring in here. Troll Nation, I like that account name. Okay, 01 Mustang LS swap. Matt, you asked on Q&A last week about if I tuned the Mustang. I used Shannon Taylor's L33 tune for a bass and Cameron's 4L80E tune. Made a few changes to shift points. Other than that, works perfect. Awesome. Made some fuel and timing changes when I tuned it. Tune wasn't far off. Pulling 1150 air fuel all the way through. Wow. So it was like fucking good right out of the box. I tuned the boost controller on open loop. Most people do. I feel like I just like to jam a random duty cycle in there and make it work. Do you just use duty table for your boost controllers? Yeah, I mean, you could mess around with it, put more duty cycle in down low, or you could try doing closed loop and setting up a PID and everything else and seeing if you can get better response. If it's a drag car, I would say just fucking get it on the anti-lag and let it eat. You don't really need anything to help you out once it's already lit there. Just been street tuning it. Just did the third gear spool mod to see how well it works. See if I can pick up my 60 foot. My best is a 159. See if I can beat that. I'm going to mess with the trans some more. It seems to not be holding in second and third very long at watt. I've looked at some of my logs and yeah, I noticed that too. I had to mess with my 373 setup to make it hold the gear a little bit. Converter seems pretty tight. I could also, if you email in, I could send you like my latest transmission tune file and you can load that. I have 373s and a 28-inch tire and it was working pretty good. We got it going pretty good. I'll give you an update after I swap fluid and go back with the sloppy spool mod. Awesome, thank you. NALS ignition advance. Hi Matt. I'm just starting my first LS build and doing as much research as possible on the LS platform. Wow. One thing I have been looking for is what would be the max ignition advance on an NA. Yeah, exactly. PS, do you know if MSD fixed that weird tuning screw up? I don't think so. I think the software is still, the map sensor, it doesn't read correctly. So you have to, your best bet is to key on and see where it is. Like if you have a 1-bar map sensor, it should be at the top or the bottom, and then you can scale it from there. If you have a 3-bar, you have to see if it's 1/3 of the way up and set it up from there. Your best bet is to start off with like 18 degrees down low at like 2000, and you can basically go up to like a really hot motor of like 26 to 30 up top at the most. And that, let me tell you what, you're going to want about 18 degrees until, it's not going to show much of a gain until like 4,000, peak torque usually. And then right after 4,000 or 5,000, you can start stepping it in up to 26 at 7,000. And if it likes that, you can go 28 at 7,000 and you can see if it makes power up there. Some cars I've done have taken 30. Very few, but some have taken 30 degrees at 7,000 because they'll start to nose over hard at 6,000. But a good, safe place to be is like 18 degrees up to 4,000 and then ramp it up to 24, 26 and see what the combo likes after that. .480p. Your connection probably sucks. People say this every time. When they connect live, some people are like, my quality's awful or I can't hear Matt, and then everyone chimes in. I can hear. It looks fine. Anyway. Injector question. First off, thanks for all the knowledge you share in the community. Hopefully I don't butcher this question and get made fun of on YouTube. Well, we'll see. I'm about to pull the trigger on a gold box harness and injectors for my LQ4 T56 Chevelle swap. My engine should make about 400 rear wheel NA. Small cam and heads. Later I'd like to go forced induction. Nitrous with nothing extreme. With the 80-pound injectors. No, you'll be fine. That, you've probably... It's that truck with the plaid fenders. My buddy Chad Cooksan and his son built that, Colton and Chad. That has 80-pounders in it since day one, basically, and it's fine. It starts and runs fine. Really, the only issue people had with big injectors back in the day was like 1990s, when injectors didn't work good at a low pulse width, period. The whole setup, the engine management, all of it was incapable of operating at the low pulse widths. Everything now is... 80s are totally fine. Yeah, so you can toss in the 80s right away. Just tune it on the 80s and then add the turbo. You'll be fine. Perfect. I mean, that's how, basically, think about it like this. When you have a turbo car and you start the car on 80s, it's driving around and running on 80s, making 20 horsepower until you roll into it and the demand comes for the more of the 80-pounders. Anyway. Long-time listener, you lost weight. What's your secret? I think I said this last time. A few years deep watching them, you're full of inspiration doing the LS stuff. Anyway, seems like mid-February when you have been wrenching on the white truck, you look thinner. Then I just watched the recent Dyno Days get together and definitely could tell a difference. You look 5 years younger. What was your secret thing? Busy, lots of coffee, no bread, stop eating. I don't have an LS question. I came across my username in gold Google search. I haven't been on the site in 5 years. Wanted to say thank you for Turbo LS videos. I basically did I answered this in the last video because people were asking me. They were worried that I was like smoking crack or something. But I just started doing the keto diet because I saw a lot of my friends having success with it. And now I do like 50-50. I'm not on it really anymore because I dropped off about 30 pounds in 2 months. So 15 pounds a month pretty easily. If you research keto, it's like a high-fat, all-meat. It's like a modified Atkins. I don't know much about it. It's very easy to do. I'm not a nutritionist or anything, but you know, my wife was helping me out with it and telling me what to eat. And yeah, it's basically like no sugar, no soda, no bread, no carbs, very low carbs. And it's all like bacon, hot dogs, hamburgers, plain, you know, no sugary barbecue and whatever else on it. So there's your car tip for today. Dropping engine in Fairmont. I clicked on you. Shit's gonna break or what? On Fairmont 5, are you able to drop the motor and ADE together at once with the AJ? See, I didn't have a 4L ADE in Fairmont number 5, so I can't really answer that. But the cross member is very low and very small. So I think you probably would be able to. I don't know. The issue is the tunnel on a Fairmont gets small fast. So I don't know if you, like if where the tunnel comes up to the firewall, there's not much room. I don't know if you can get it all in one shot. Maybe some people in the comments here can answer that. I've never done it. What stall speed did you use on Fairmont 3 with the 4.8 with the 315 gear? I always get the same part number Circle D converter from Chris at Circle D. I like it. It's like a high 2000. It's like a 2800. It's perfect for street and strip combo. If you're going to only drag race, you should probably get a little bit bigger one, a little bit looser. Micro 3 LS modified quick question. Matt, first off, thanks for sharing all your info, findings, etc. A while back, I bought 2 of the Micro V3 from your blah, blah, blah. Testing Spark. Yeah, it won't let you. For whatever reason, the test Spark stuff won't let you do that. It'll only fire ignition 1 and 2. It won't let you fire the extracurricular Spark outputs. People generally are saying that the brown wire should go to the cylinder head. That's like one of the grounds. It should go to each cylinder head individually. Like driver's side coils should go to the driver's side ground. We started it with your instructions, didn't work, then found the others, still nothing. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it could be almost anything, but were you able to spark 1 and 2? Choo-choo noises, finally. Hey, Matt, first of all, thank you for what you do. I watched Q&As over the last 7 months. I built a Turbo 4.8 Fox body, basically just by following your advice. By far the most extensive project I've ever taken on. I'm only 22. Thank you again. That's awesome. So on to the question. My setup is a Gen 3 4.8 on 3 7875 Deca 80s AEM 380 4L80E gold box pack springs and whatever else on your wiki page. So the car fired up first shot with the turbo tune from EFI source. Way rich at idle, so pulled 10 in the whole table and still needed to pull a little bit more to get it to around 13.0. When I roll into the throttle, the AFR is dropping to 10.0. Even if I'm just tapping the throttle in neutral, it goes 10.0. I know you say 11.3 at watt. Yeah, I mean, from like 80 kPa to 150 kPa, you should get like a 12.5. And then it should transition to about 11.30 by 14 pounds. Also during warm-up, it's 14.5 until it gets to operating temperature. That's fine, as long as it drives fine. Thank you again. I will PayPal you some coffee money. Yes. That is sloppymechanics@gmail.com. Yes, it is. Thank you. You do not have to, but thank you. I will appreciate it, and I will certainly drink some coffee. What happened to all HP tuner files in the sloppy wiki? I'm fairly certain I saw them a few weeks ago. I'd like to take a stab at tuning. Basically, I got annoyed the other day with people, and I just got rid of all of them because most people were saying that they're garbage or they're no good, and other people were, you know, I can see the amount of times they're downloaded, and people are downloading the hell out of them but calling them bullshit. So I'm just kind of annoyed with that. So I got rid of all of them. So it's like a fend for yourself kind of thing. If it sucks for people that really need them or want to use them, maybe I'll put them up again one day. But it's too, I feel like it's kind of annoying at the same time, disrespectful, and I just got a little bit of third grade feelings about it and deleted all of it. It's fairly simple. I'm being passive aggressive and got rid of it all for everybody. Displacement versus turbo choice. Got a question about what affects how early a turbo spools equal horsepower levels. Do you think a 4.8 could light off a nicer turbo just as quickly? Nah, cubes are king for sure. Displacement affects onset for sure. Yep. If you have a 4.8 car and a 6.0 car and you stab it, huge difference on how to light a big turbo. Turboski. Looking for turbo advice, watch all the videos and I need to reply. 01 GMC Sierra, short cab, short bed. Currently SBE GT45 demo kit on 15 pounds, 80 pound Deca, ISKI triple 12, pack 12 18s. Damn! That's like the #1 recipe. Goal is 10s in the quarter with radials, Caltrax. No, you would be fine. You'll get there. Just get it to 60 foot good, like 1.6 range or better. Easily go 10s. S475 is just an awesome turbo for the money. It doesn't light off that bad at all. You'd be surprised. A VS 7875 will get you into the 10s for sure. It's just got to leave good. But a S475 is capable like almost 800 tire. You'll be running out of your fuel pump probably with that big ass turbo. I feel like a 7875 lights off better than an S475 with a 96 turbine. E78 ECU issue. Hey Matt, longtime fan of the videos and info you put out. I imagine you are in your garage right now, possibly freezing. Actually, it's not freezing today. It's decent. It's in like the 50s, 62 degrees. I'm hoping you can help me out because this question doesn't pertain to that. I work for a small 3-wheel car manufacturing company called Vanderhall Motorworks. You can Google it. We use the E78 out of a Chevy Cruze. Need to change the VIN to a custom one that we use on all of our cars. We use HP tuners to do VIN changes, and we've added... Okay. Yeah, most of the GM computers are not going to accept a non-GM VIN. Oh, here. When you... This might fix it. I've run into this before. When you do a complete, like, OS swap. If you're going to flash some extensive shit, like a VIN swap or whatever, you need to turn the ignition off. And it needs to be ignition only off, battery power on, and you need to count to like 35 seconds or set a timer and then try it. It'll probably be fine. If you key on and off immediately, it's not going to take the change. I've done it with the GM software, and if you don't shut it off for that 30 seconds, it'll revert. It's fucking weird. Yes. Anyway, do that. Matt, thank you for all your info. You've given us sloppies. My motor setup is as follows. 78 Camaro. 6087K miles, sloppy stage 2, 1218s, decaps, AEM, 7875, turbo setup, 3-inch intercooler, no math, 91, trans, oh my god, 273 rear gears. We strapped the car down, first pass 10 pounds was 330. It's probably blowing straight through the converter. Yeah. Yeah. Your converter is probably garbage. What brand converter do you have? 273s are just going to annihilate any converter. Yeah. What? Do you still have the small block converter in there? You're probably destroying the converter. With that gear especially. MS Gold Box 58. It's the settings change. That's it. Other than the connector having like a tooth in a different spot, you just go in there with a razor blade and cut the tooth off. Plug in whatever then. You're fine. You can, I mean, I've done 24, 58 in the same car with the same wiring. No big deal. Latvian Bosch injectors. Hey Matt and Jamie, I noticed your update on the two-town. I actually deleted that page because VS Racing sells the injector now. And everyone was complaining about this 4-valve guy not getting back or being weird about pricing. So I asked my buddy Varen to get a hold of these fuckers. They're not Latvian Bosch. They're just Bosch 210s. And now Varen stocks them at VS Racing, so you can call him and get them from him. Base maps, HP tuners. Keep up the great work. I went to go download HP tuners base map off the sloppy page and they are gone. Well, I already explained this. If they cannot be posted anymore, can you flash a base map if I send my ECU to you? That's something I would entertain. If you email sloppymechanics@gmail.com, depending on your ECU and everything else and the serial number and some other things, I would not mind putting the base tune into your ECU for you. That's something I can do that's easy, that doesn't take me hours. So MS3, meth injection. What's up, Denmark? Ma, no need to type. After watching your various Fairmont builds, I saw that you like to run methanol, a higher boost, above 14. I know you said that you do not utilize progressive feature, and after installing the cooling mist trunk mount, their solenoid cannot support pulse width modulation. Anyway, so I'm currently controlling it via generic based output, yes. My question is, did you add the meth1 tune your VE table to account for this? Just spray the mess without no additional... Usually I use a smaller nozzle where there's not much tuning in addition. The nozzle that I use is usually like a half an air fuel point, and I will be conservative anyway. So I will use the meth and have like a 10-8 air fuel up top as long as the motor doesn't cough on it. So if the meth stops working, it'll only go to like an 1140. You could use table switch, I guess. You would have to try and see how fast. I mean, I'm assuming that switches immediately. I asked because I want to tune the car. Yeah, I don't spray a whole... Like, some people spray so much meth that when the meth kit doesn't work, the car blows up. I just don't run that much methanol, so that doesn't happen. It's just there as cheap insurance. It's not there... It's supplemental. It's not needed. You could, sure, probably table switch it. If you spray the meth with no specific tuning, what kind of... Depending on the size of the nozzle, you'll see quite a bit of an air fuel difference. Like I said, I usually use a CM like a 14, which is I think a 14 gallon per hour. That's like a half an air fuel point usually. Hope that answers all of that. Five three. I was wondering what would be the best to do first on a 5.3. The first thing is a VS Racing turbo kit with the injectors and the fuel pump, sloppy stage 2 cam, or anything else you would recommend for a stock 5.3 with full exhaust going headers. I mean, that depends on your goal. What are I mean, this is what I say every fucking time, but what are your goals? Like, if your goal is just a certain amount of power, I mean, I feel like in the long run, I'm going to do turbo and cam and everything anyway. Doing the cam first, so you don't have to take the motor apart after you hang the turbo. So tear in, do the cam, and then just add the turbo later. Some people, they add the turbo to all the stock shit, and it's fine. They just do valve springs. But I would say, I mean, without knowing anything, I would tell you just do cam first and then add the turbo later. HP Twizzlers. Matt and sometimes Jamie. Again, I would like to thank you for all you do. Your Vimeo vids are awesome. I have not got to the ST video yet, but it's coming soon. Save that $25. One thing you talk about in the videos is I've ran into my O1 doesn't support. Yep, that's what in the first video I talk about how some do not support it. But I believe I found a fix. I cannot be the first to do this. I noticed, and it's the same PL1. Yes. Yes. Correct. You're right. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, I do it all the time. People will bring in a car and it'll only support 1 bar, or it'll be fucked, or it'll be totally weird, and we'll have issues. And what I will do is I will license theirs and flash in something that I know works. I do it all the time with Corvettes, because some of the Corvettes have like a 1 bar OS, or they can't do shit. And I end up putting in like a 03 Z06 ECU calibration, because that'll support 3 bar real-time tuning, the works. So I end up flashing that in. Thank you for the tip, though. That would be awesome if I didn't know. Maybe other people don't know that. But yeah, you can... I mean, some people, they don't understand how HP Tuner's licensing works, and they download one of my tunes, and they license my tune. And then they open their car, and then it asks them to license their car. And they're like, what the fuck? I just spent 2 credits. They didn't know that they should get theirs first, do a comparison, try to load it. If not, you could license both and overwrite it. But if you have emissions and OBD2 checking and everything in your area, and you have a 05 Silverado and you flash in my tune and it has my truck's VIN number and it says it's a 2000 Silverado, you might run into registration issues. That's another thing to, you know, but if it's a swap car, that's whatever. Okay, 14 Camaro SS L99. I have said car and title, full Cook's exhaust, air rig, cold air, and tuned by a local tuner. Puts down 407. Question, is the tuner disabled to displacement on demand? I have heard that doing this can damage a valve train. Untrue. Info has been vague. You're fine. You should turn it off. Most of the time it's annoying as fuck, especially if you have an exhaust and DOD turns on, it's going to sound like a broken Honda. So they pretty much turn it off whenever someone has exhaust, because they're going to get on the highway on the way home, and it's going to go into 4-cylinder mode and be like, blah, and everyone's going to fucking flip out. Anyway. Let's bring the chat over. And I have 20 minutes? 20 minutes. We'll call this a day. All right. Matt's bass tune killed my dog. Broken Hondas sound great. Hey Matt, you motivated me to finish my RX-7 or RX-8 LM7 turbo project. Awesome. I'm happy to hear that. If nothing, at the end of the day, if you just had motivation to finish your car, I have succeeded. The Grinch does have a heart after all, Matt. I'm currently running a BorgWarner S366 T4 91, considering upgraded to the 369. I'm unsure that the AR does not mean much. The size of the turbine wheel usually does. Improvement, that's questionable. Like, what, are you looking to make another 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 extra horsepower? If so, you should get a massive turbine. I don't know if those come in that. Most people running a BorgWarner S360-ish are running 2 of them on a 5, to 6 liter LS motor. Matt, what are your thoughts on single? I like using single turbos. I have answered that many times. 2 turbos is just twice the plumbing, twice the amount of possible issues, twice the amount of possible failure, a lot of things. I mean, they work, but in my opinion, it's easier, cleaner, more reliable if you just hang 1 turbo to do it. Sometimes people just don't have the engine bay room for a fucking turbo the size of a basketball, and packaging small twins is actually easier. Like Coyote cars, there's no fucking room in the engine bay. Is Troll Nation Chris Ortiz? I think it is. Hey chat, what's the purpose for using meth in an LS build? Meth or washer fluid or water injection is like cheap insurance. It raises your octane, lowers your inlet temperatures, cools off your combustion process, drops your EGT. Like there's like 5 positives and really no negatives. You could surely look up some YouTube videos that explain the engineering process behind it, but it's very good cheap insurance. Mostly it raises, like the little bit of alcohol and everything raises your octane. Yes, I forgot. Meth water ratios. Yes, back and forth. Really not much of a horsepower difference between straight meth, like super flammable 100% meth, and fucking blue and green washer fluid. I got 2 10s. Awesome. Your car goes faster when your arse isn't so fat. Yes, what's called weight reduction. How much weight can a 4L60E? Quite a bit. I mean, people have fucking Escalades and then they tow a trailer. Sure. I also need to know, you push the gas pedal. Can you test uncapped injectors on max HP? Realistically, it depends on how big your uncapped injectors are. Most are coming out in the 70-pound range. That's going to get you like 550 tire through an auto. Pretty easy answer. How can I make my Garrett go whoosh? Use the gas pedal. Can you explain how to cut the speed limit? Do you mean the speed limiter? You can just use HP tuners and turn it off, or your drive shaft might come out, or your tire might explode. That's basically why they set it. Notifications. I'm glad you all get notifications. Watching New Brunswick, Canada. Just a statement. Got my S480 Borg. What a fucking difference. Yeah, it actually, a lot of times it does. People don't believe me on this, but sometimes the GT45 just ends up backing up really bad. I just got my trans brake and launch control wired on my MicroSquirt. Taking suggestions on timing and air fuel guidelines. Build more. Are you using the launch control? So are you using like negative 15 degrees or negative 20 or negative 5 or just 5? You gotta move it around. Swing it all over the place and see what makes it happy. Truck wants to stall when I'm coming to a stop with the clutch in. Random small TPS spike when it happens. What ECU? Yeah, I mean, people say all sorts of stuff, but in my experience, just with anything else, use whatever you can get. Because some people have a boner for 100% methanol and can't ever fucking get it, and then burn their fucking car down with 100% meth in the engine bay. Amazing truck, by the way. I can't believe how much power you're making. I can't believe how much power I've made. I say this every time. I feel like I make 100 extra horsepower safely each year. I don't know how, but I don't know how long we can continue that business model, but it's doing really good. What's a good year to 5.3? Whatever 5.3 you can find that's the most complete for the money you can afford. I don't know what you mean by building. Pistons and rods or something? I mean, that sounds foolish. How many tunes per boost? Limits on deck at 80s? Like horsepower limit? Like my friend's car the other day, we made high 600s. We pushed to 730, but it was totally out. Unlocked, through a power glide, 730 tire on my dyno. Yeah, I mean, 650 is a nice safe cutoff for 80 pounders. If you have meth, you can go a little bit farther. If you have a crazy fuel pump and you're running a lot of base pressure, maybe more than that. Some people are like, I make 1,000. You know, I don't want to tell you you can make 1,000 and have you burn your shit down at 750. I picked up a huge turbo off a Mack truck for 60 bucks. I have an O2 Trans Am with a Magic Stick 3. Well, MS3 is an awful cam for boost, in my opinion. It's a giant all-motor cam. The Mack truck turbo could be anything. It could be tiny. It could be large. Some diesel truck turbos work okay, but vast majority of them have fucking fucked up exhaust and compressor ratios and sizes for gasoline cars that swing a higher RPM and generate much more power. Will it light? Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to take your turbo apart and measure the wheel, the size, the inducer and exducer on both wheels, and you're going to have to ask somebody from there. Excel enrichment? I don't think I understand. That would take too long. It would take the rest of the episode. Is meth necessary? No. Running 20 pounds on decap. Yeah, no shit. I would assume you could... On my dyno, you probably cut off at like 460, 500 horsepower max with decaps, because they're like 70 pounds average. Swing it like doing a helicopter after you get out of the shower. Maximum stall converter before you start having problems with out adjustments. I'd say you probably don't want to go over 4,000 unless you're going to have to get... I mean, it depends on how you drive and a lot of other bullshit, but a 3,000 stall with a 4-speed, you're probably not going to have to fuck with much at all. But, getting a really big converter, it's going to get all angry probably with RPM and other things. Have you tuned 17? I don't think so. It's 14, 15s, and 16s, I think. Yo, Matt. Yo, Dylan. I'm using a sloppy bass tune. Ruined my 5th turbo 5.3, but only because I am not patient. Truck started right up, felt strong, so I got excited, floored it. Last 5.3 was ruined 4 days ago. Well, I feel like you're not the only person that does that shit. Have you ever used subframe connectors? Yes, on and off. What can I use to plug the vacuum hole in the back of a 5.3 intake manifold? Whatever bolt threads in there, put RTV on it and impact it in there. I've seen the MicroSquirt issue when it runs like shit with 1.5. Yeah, dude, 1.5. Something's funny with 1.5. I'm glad a lot of other people have had the issue. A lot of people have reached out and be like, yeah, mine runs like total shit on 1.5. So I sent in all the logs and tune file to James Murray, who writes the firmware, and he has not gotten back to me yet. But it would be neat if you guys have logs and firmware you could send him also. Sloppy purge. Yeah, maybe sometime soon. It depends on how annoyed I am with the people in there. I've done it before. 12A 4 BBL 4 barrel. It's not worth it. How much tweaking of fuel injector data do you do? I bought some 95 pounders and they came with questionable data. I usually use stock data. People chastise the shit out of me for that, but I don't have any problems. Best ECU and harness for a 4.8. I mean, all the motors are the same fucking thing. I like to use a company in North Jersey called Performance Systems Integration, PSI conversion harnesses. Because when you buy a rewire, it's rewired to hold the ECU like where the stock ECU is in a truck. And if you get a harness from PSI, it's brand new, and the leads are meant for the ECU and everything to go in the car past the firewall. So no matter what kind of rewire you get, the ECU is going to want to be in the engine bay and shit's going to fit weird. Depends on your budget. I think it's worth it to just buy a PSI. Change it up, do a Mopar, maybe one day. Okay, it skipped on me again. Ever worked with the 85E? It's the same thing. But my air fuel is still a little off and I don't want to year up my VE table to make them work. I must have... How much tweaking of injector data? Then just change the injector size. If the VE is fairly smooth, you just change the size of the injector until it's like 80% of the way there and then fucking start going from there. Here's the funny thing. Just pour that windshield washer fluid in your mouth, and if it burns your mouth, it's pretty high alcohol, and use it. That's what I do. People debate about it all the time, but if you put the low alcohol in your mouth, it's like water. It tastes like nothing. Put the high alcohol content in your mouth, burns the shit out of your mouth. It's fairly easy to tell at that point that it's high alcohol, and you can just use that. Or you can just use fucking whatever. You can use rubbing alcohol and some bottled water, 50-50, buy a liter of each at the gas station or a grocery store or CVS. Or you can use straight distilled water, or you can use straight alcohol. Like I said, you're best off doing whatever the fuck you have available so you don't fuck yourself. Congratulations, you played yourself. That whole thing. I still have a bent rim. What's funny is my buddy gave me... He had another rim buried in the dirt in his yard, and it's not bent. So I'm going to get it swapped to the not bent rim and throw the bent rim out, or maybe drop it off and get it fixed. Would you tune a PCM if I send it to you? Well, there's all sorts of... I think I answered this earlier today. You can email sloppymechanics@gmail.com, and if you hear back from me, maybe. There's a lot of stipulations with that, so we'll figure it out. AFR went to 10.0. No issue yet. I did not hear back yet from the guy who writes the firmware. I sent him my logs and the tune file and the video of it, obviously, where you guys heard it missing like a piece of shit. And then I flashed the old firmware and tune in, and it was mint. I didn't hear back from him yet. I think he's investigating. Yes, this has been answered 4 million times. I'm pretty sure we're going to be traveling in space one day, and people are going to get rogue transmissions of people asking about balancing rods and pistons for a complete stock motor swap. Basic 3,000 pound car, 500 wheel, like easy mid-10s. 3,000 pounds is pretty light. Let's put it this way. A 600 rear wheel car that weighs 3,300 pounds, like average notch, to make 600 tire through an unlocked auto, will easily go like a high 9, like a 990 at 141 with a foot brake. Best way, I don't know. I don't use injector times, so I can't give you any advice. I have stock Silverado wanting to change ECU. Why do you want to change the ECU on a stock Silverado? 01. I don't know what you're asking. Why would you want to do that? Is there a reason why? 7 minutes left. 7 minutes. What kind of turbo do you recommend? I'm not great with the Honda. Just get a fucking eBay CX Racing kit. I've easily made 250, 260 horsepower with a complete CX Racing D-Series kit. Whatever shitty turbo they give you, it'll do it. You said you might do a complete stock 4.8 with a big turbo when you bend that rod at 1,000 horsepower. Still got plans? I am going to demod this truck in like a month or two and put the 4.8 in it, put a stock computer in it, and like a 3000 stall, the old PTC that I had, and I'm going to race it totally stock, tune it, stock ECU, mess around with it for a while. I might put the nitrous kit that I have on it and just spray it totally stock and see what kind of nonsense I can get into with it. I doubt I'll really turbo it. I would like to move on to some other projects other than this truck, and if I continue turboing and just climbing up the fucking mod ladder with this 4.8, I'm just going to end up breaking it and hating the vehicle at some point anyway. So I hope that answers for now. Putting LQ4, the sloppy stage 2 cam, pack 85E. You're welcome. Thank you for your statement. Holy shit, just use stock. Yeah. Honestly, people have told me up and down, you need to change it. You always need to change that shit. Blah, blah, get this, get that. Every time I fucking touch the injector data, the car runs like absolute shit. If I leave the stock data fine and I just change the injector size or the scale of the meter or the VE table till the car starts, runs, free revs, and it's close, you know, I move on from there. I mean, there's probably a benefit, obviously, to using data on some of the injectors, but fuck it. Just ship it. It works. It's fine. I'm not a professional. Just learn to let a lot of stuff go and you'll be fine. Is 850, 900 realistic? From the 80, 96. Yeah. Have you seen my truck? Change my worldview. You'll crap a rod at 250 with that D15. Yeah, that's true. I forgot to mention that. The stock motor, they say, like, 160 to 200, it'll just poop a rod. I can't stop farting. Wow, man, that sounds like a personal problem. Thanks for all the info. I'm now encouraged to build a 5.3 turbo. I'm going to need a base map. How's the Civic's been coming? We're going to move on to the Civic soon. That's why I just want to fucking tear apart this truck, demod it, sell all the shit off of it, and just build the Civic. The Civic I'm actually going to use. Someone sent me a D-Series turbo kit and some other shit. So I want to put all that in it. The K-Series I don't think is going to work out. Someone told me they would donate me a K-Series, but I don't think that's not going to come to fruition. So I'll probably, this is an automatic car, I'll probably swap it to a manual because they say the autos break at like 180 horsepower. That guy's a beast. People were telling me about him, and I recently started watching all of their videos, honestly. I commented on a few of his videos recently. I like those Boosted Boys. I don't know the name of the guy that runs the channel, but he seems like absolutely driven, and he'll just work hard on shit and get it together, and you know, he has no negative connotations about things. I like it. I like what he's doing. People might think that I don't like that, but that guy just gets shit done. I always appreciate when people do that stuff. Matt kills brain cells from drinking. You just put it in your mouth, like mouthwash, and you spit it out. Jesus Christ. How reliable are VS turbos? Honestly, never had a single problem that I didn't have because of self-inflicted. I've never had a problem, and I'm not lying or padding for sales. I have had an issue with 1 or 2 VS Racing turbos, but I lost oil pressure on my motor and the turbo died, or I put so much glitter through the turbo that the turbo died. But other than that, not a single problem. This is a VS billet 80 on my truck, and it's been on my truck for like over 5,800 miles, and all it gets is straight abuse with no blow-off valve. All I do is hammer the shit out of it. No problem. What plugs for a turbo LS1? Look on the Sloppy Mechanics Wiki page. There is an entire spark plugs section for you. Died testing wiper fluid. I know. Meth will make you blind. A lot of things will make you blind. Like reading asshole comments on YouTube at LS1 Tech. Ah, I'm about to send my injectors out. Nice. You sending them to Eric Durr? Yeah, Chris, I sent Derek the tune-up you sent me. Because he has like a P59, so I sent him that. Bad luck with bargain bin, Amazon relay. Not really. Won't last. I don't really have a problem with them. Yeah, you can. How many hours more streaming thinking of completing HW? Homework? Do you think GM will ever get away from pushrod? I don't know. Hope not. I wish they would make their motors. I wish they would start making L33s again and just putting those in new stuff. Where's Cameron probably mumbling some Project Pat lyrics? Derek, what injectors? Meth or E85? Turbo or what? What horsepower goal or? It's people like it's like you're asking me what kind of burger you should eat. Get whatever burger you want. Or like, are you 100 pounds? Get a small burger. Are you huge? Maybe you should get a big burger. Are you vegetarian? I don't fucking know. Want to buy you keep saying that. I'm gonna, I know you'll do it, but I think I want to keep it around for a while just as a truck. I think what's cool is a lot of people don't have the budget to go turbo and nuts and everything right away. Like, I'll buy a mountain of parts and just turbo everything in like 10 days, and then I'll be like, sweet. I think it'll be pretty neat to put the 4.8 in with the 80E, with the smaller converter, and just see what it can do just for fun. And if I totally lose interest, I'll ship it to you. You can have it. With stock harness, grab everything you need. Probably not. I don't really... I mean, it costs money. It's additional costs that I don't think are necessary. I think on an all-motor setup, L92 heads are good, but on forced induction, it doesn't fucking matter. Yeah, I would like to get to the track before the end of the month. Before the end of this month would be nice. Yes. Yes. Maybe you should search the videos on my channel. Can you explain how you ramp timing and after torque? Do you ramp the boost in? Nah. Normally, like, obviously if you have a laggier setup, it'll probably survive a little bit better. But ramping the timing in is usually just because it won't take as much ignition down low to make similar power and torque. And then it'll start falling off at higher RPM. You just need to stay in front of that. I'm not an engineer or anything, but in front of the flame front, you can see where it just starts nosing sometimes. And you can sneak in like another 3 degrees and get a 60-degree incline where you were just going flat before. Have you watched his videos? Burn. I don't know whose videos. I've watched Evan's tuning videos about how sloppy tuners are. I feel like I always make the low and high octane tables the same. No variables and consistency. Yes, I love Evan's tuning, actually. I think they do a great job. I have had my Civic years ago tuned by Jeff Evans. I respect what he does. I think he's very intelligent. He has his own way of doing stuff. You pay him. He's an expert. He does a nice job. I was just laughing the other day because he had a Camaro SS on, and he was like, oh, someone just shipped it with the mass air meter. And I'm like, well, if that guy paid not much money to have it tuned, he got not much money into a tune. Well, like he said, and he makes an intelligent answer. Like I will say sometimes there's reasons why people do stuff sometimes, and that's okay, but that's not what he would do, so he did it totally different. See, this is combination and whatever dependent. This is hard to answer. How big is your turbo? A1000. I'm not really a big fan of A1000s at all. Oh, it's 11:02 already, so I gotta ship out of here. I'm gonna wind this down real quick in 1 minute. 8.1 sucks my balls. 450. Okay. Guess on times. Don't know. Is it 5,000 pounds or 2,000 pounds? MicroSquirt or PSI ECU? What goals? What do you want to do with it? Both are capable of running the engine. A1000 is the most Down syndrome pump. Yeah, it sucks. Yes, fuck additional costs. Why are people always trying to nickel and dime themselves so damn bad? Then you tell them to buy something. You tell someone to buy something they actually need, and then they argue with you, but they want to fucking buy timing chains and other horse shit. Just spend their money. My OS table doesn't show anything. Okay. You're using 3.0? Might be why. Aftermarket stereo or alarm? No. Mail order tune, HP tuners, little adjustment, click right adjustment fails. Who knows? It could be 1,000 things. Read the HP tuners thing. Battery charger voltage, all sorts of shit, fuses, all sorts of things. Anyway. Alright guys, I'm out of here for now. Thanks for this quick one. See you later.